our days are really busy. So staff comes in at 6 a.m. to get the day started, and everything needs to happen first thing. All the animals are hungry, everybody needs to go outside, and we start cleaning right away. We start preparing for any animals that have surgery that day. So most of the cleaning happens in the morning.
And then start feeding dogs. Make sure all of the dogs get out in the morning, make sure they all get taken care of. And then from there, everybody has their own rooms that they go and clean. We want to make sure everybody has fresh water, fresh bedding, fresh food every day. The adoption floors, we all want to make sure that they're finished and clean by the time we open in the morning.
We try to have that wrapped up by the time we open to the public. Then visitors are coming in, whether they're looking for stray animals that they've lost or they are looking to adopt a pet from us, or a lot of people just like to come and walk through the building and see what we have. So then it's assisting a lot of clients throughout the rest of the day.
There's dishes and laundry that need done. Make sure we clean up any messes that need to be cleaned up all throughout the day. Feeding dogs again in the afternoon and taking them out for their walks. And same with cats. We also feed them again in the afternoon, make sure everyone's taken care of.
Sending animals to good homes, doing adoptions, knowing that we have found the right match for these animals, doing adoption interviews, and that's my favorite part of this job.
I think the most satisfying part is when you see an animal come in that's either a stray or been relinquished, and then they're here for a little while, and you kind of make a bond with them, and you see them go off to their forever home and see how happy they are and how much we've done for them and how excited they are to finally be somewhere that is treating them well and loves them. It's definitely the most satisfying part.
As I'm doing that adoption interview, there will be one or two animals coming in the back door. So the least satisfying is the continued need for our services. You know, in this field, we are trying to, in a sense, work ourselves out of a job. Unfortunately, you know, the reality of the homeless pet population, we're not going to do that anytime soon.
Probably some of the things that we see, since we are animal control, we do see some cruelty cases and things like that that come through here. When they come in and they're malnourished, it's pretty hard.
I get to work with animals all day, you know, I mean, that's fantastic. And they're really fun, and they're really sweet, and I get to enjoy that about my job. I mean, animals can also be noisy and smelly and dirty and sometimes aggressive and potentially dangerous, but for the most part, it's a joy.
I enjoy coming in and seeing all their faces every day, how excited they are to see us, that we get to take care of these animals and actually make a difference for them.
I know that the work that I am doing here is something that's valuable and important because I watch what the volunteers do. There are people that are so committed to our mission of what it is that we're trying to do here to help homeless animals that they volunteer their time for free. They come in and they do cleaning, they help with dishes, they do laundry, they socialize the animals, walk the dogs, play with the cats, help with events. They do all of these different things, and they do it on their own free time because it's considered so valuable. And so that really shows me that there's just a community of people that are invested in what it is that we're trying to do here, that, you know, my full-time position really is valuable and the work that we do is important.
Seeing the difference we make for these animals, the ones that come in looking horrible, like they really weren't taken care of very well, and then we get to work with them through the entire process and get them back up to good health, and realizing how great and playful these animals actually are once they're healthy again, and then seeing them go off to these amazing homes and knowing that we make a difference, really the most valuable part.
I think the most important thing that people should know that they don't, I think there's a misconception that every homeless animal, whether it's in a shelter or a rescue organization, has been the victim of animal abuse or cruelty or neglect, and because of this traumatic background, they might have behavior issues, they might have veterinary issues, medical issues, or they might just be, you know, maladjusted or potentially aggressive. And so people think if they're adopting a dog or a cat that they're gonna get an animal with issues. And that's simply not the case. The good news is that that demographic of animals that have experienced abuse or cruelty or neglect, that's actually a really small percentage of the animals that we have here. That's the good news. Most of the animals that are homeless here and available for adoption, they're homeless for no fault of their own. The most common reasons that we see is that, one, that people feel like they don't have enough time to properly care for their pet, so they choose to surrender it, or they might be moving and they're either unwilling or unable to secure housing that allows them to take their pet. So in both of those circumstances, the animal has done nothing wrong and they're perfectly well adjusted, just like any other animal that you would find if you went to a pet store or to a breeder or tried to find one off of the internet. Any animal that you get from whatever the source is, you're going to spend money on it. One, it is an investment. It's also an investment of time, of patience, training, socialization, all of these things. It takes a lot of work to have a pet, and it's going to be the same amount of work whether you adopt from the shelter or you go to the pet store. So you might as well adopt instead of shop.
It's actually a lot harder than the public thinks. We don't just sit around and play with cats and dogs all day. That's pretty much what the volunteers get to do. We actually have to take care of these animals and be here through everything. We see the worst parts. It's mentally and physically draining, really. But at the end of the day, it's what we love to do, and we know we're helping the animals.
My background is in social work, and I was working in that field with a number of different populations for a period of time, and I was feeling like I wanted to do something different. I had been working a transitional housing program for survivors of domestic violence that were homeless as a result. And I needed a change, and I was living at the time in North Carolina, and the local Humane Society there, I saw an advertisement for their employment there, and I'm thinking to myself, I have a lifelong love of animals, and this is a homeless population, it's just a different species. And that's what really got me motivated to pursue that career path, and once I got involved, I love it. I've been doing it ever since.
I've loved animals my entire life. I've pretty much worked with animals my whole life. I was a vet tech for a little while and I loved it, and I thought coming into this career I could make even more of a difference for these animals, especially with the bad cases. I like to know that I can help them, that I'm actually making a difference for these animals and putting them into good homes.
We are the only animal shelter in Frederick County. So we work to house the homeless pet population here, whether animals are coming to us as strays, whether they are being picked up by animal control officers that are patrolling the community, or they're surrendered by their owners that are no longer able to keep them for some reason. And we take in every domesticated animal, anything that's considered a pet. So not only the dogs and cats, bunnies, guinea pigs, ferrets, goats, chickens, anything that's considered a domestic animal or a pet, we will take in and house here.
The public can help in a number of different ways. We love to have volunteers. A lot of times the staff here doesn't have time to actually spend time with the animals, take them out and do things out, play out in the yard, things like that. So volunteering is always great. That way they get to spend time with the animals get more love and affection.
Donate. Whether it's supplies or some money, donations make a really big difference. Volunteer. If you like animals and you enjoy spending time with animals, come on in. It's really easy to volunteer. You have to do an orientation and then you do a training. You come on your own free time, you stay as long as you would like to. And that really makes a big difference for the animals, and it also helps out staff as well. And then adopt. When you're looking for your next pet, instead of going to a pet store or a breeder or looking online, then come here to us and we can help you find the right animal.